July 24, 2025. This is the S&P 500 E-Futures Mini on the 2000 tick chart using NinjaTrader 8. This is what the chart looked like today. For the most part, it was sideways. There was a slight bullish bias to it. I tried fitting a trend channel, but it really didn't help. Because as you can see, maybe there's a bounce here and a bounce here, but this is pretty late in the day. And no setup here actually justified a decent trade. The only economic data that came out today was around 5:30, which is the unemployment claims, which is about right here. And right here where this big drop happened. And then at 6:45, which is the flash manufacturing PMI, which happened about right here, where you see this as big rally. The volume wasn't that high, and there weren't that very many setups, despite all these crazy swings that I saw. I marked a few trades. I took a total of 2 trades. The first one I won, and then the second one I lost. And the second one is best described as, I guess, like a third entry long, kind of a hunch trade, and not a really good reason to take this trade. So I should have just left it after the first trade. Unfortunately, I think my brain started to wander, got greedy, and tried to reach for something, and pretty much invented a setup, which is right here. So I'm going to get into the trades right now. So pre-market, it looked like it was just range bound. It looked like it was 2 legs down, 2 legs up, measured move made, another leg down, and it kind of pretty much looks like it established itself right here. It created a new high. It's a first entry long, pullback, second entry long. It also looked like it was just one leg. So you can actually say it's first entry, pullback, second entry. But I also saw a new low here. First entry short, second entry short, second entry short. If you consider it's in a potential trading range, this could be a bounce off the bottom. So it could be a failed second entry short. Unfortunately, this is the pre-market and I don't trade the pre-market. Pushes up, breaks, and on the open, kind of almost makes the pre-market high, but it fails. Then this pushes down, creates a first entry long. Technically, I have a second entry long here, but right here is below the EMA. Maybe there's a bounce here, but there's no real triple test to kind of hang a hat on to try to say there's a potential trade. You could say maybe it's 1 touch, 2 touch, 3 touch, but it didn't feel very strong. So I left it alone. In this case, it might have worked for a quick 1-point scalp. Comes back down, pushes up to the high, breaks above the pre-market high, because right now I'm thinking we're in a trading range. So I'm looking for a potential fail breakout, but this is also due to the news item that just occurred, which is the flash manufacturing PMI. When it hits, oscillates, so there's no first entry long here. Visually, it looks like it's first entry long here. It pushes back down and into the range. So technically, this is where your first entry long occurs. Pushes back out. Technically, I have a second entry long here, but this just looks like a kind of a congested mess. So I'm leaving it alone. These candles are pretty much the same size, side by side. Pushes up and out, kind of creates a double top. And this is actually where it sets up to take my first trade. So I saw it's a break of this orange up channel, pushes down, looks like it's 1 attempt up, pull back, second attempt up. And it fails to kind of meet the highs, but it does create a double top at the end. And it's kind of a rejection right off of this resistance. Then there's a strong push back down into this, which at the time I was playing, this pre-market range. It's a strong push down, and then it kind of moves up 1 tick, and then flushes down. It doesn't quite break below here, but it was strong enough that I thought there's a possible trade here. So I entered 1 tick actually at the exact low. It's hard to see, but there's a little purple arrow right here where I went short. Flushes down kind of rather quickly, and I was able to get my 2-point scalp. Again, no runner today. I'm kind of backing off from runners at the moment until price action picks up and volume and volatility pick up a little bit. So pushes down. If I did have a runner, I think I would have managed to probably get maybe another point and get stopped out probably on this candle. So it's a push down on the green down channel, break, test low, pushes up on this orange up channel. So it's a first entry short, and it creates a second entry short here that fails all in the same candle. So I'm not, I'm thinking it's in this trading range here, but I didn't discount the possibility that there could be another resistance slightly higher. So maybe it hit the bottom already and is coming back up. But I actually liked the pre-market lows better. However, looked like it was a break of the green, tested the low, one attempt up, pull back, and I'm thinking it could make a second attempt to correspondingly match this leg. So I thought there's a possible trade here. I also like that it moved a few ticks below and engulfed this completely. Wasn't too concerned about this local resistance right here. So I thought there's a possible trade here and looked like it would have been good for a 2-point scalp. Prices move up. And now it's breaking out of my pre-market range again. It just kind of keeps pushing up and out, showing pretty good strength. So initially, I had this yellow up channel drawn tighter because there's initially this orange one that I thought, okay, maybe it's slightly tighter like this. And it looked like it fit pretty well. Break, test the high, and then it kept going upwards. So that's where I adjusted the yellow up channel, try to capture more of the touches. So it's 1 touch, 2 touch, 3, 4, and then, whoops, let me just go ahead and bring this out. So here, there's a break. I'm expecting a test the high. So it makes one attempt up, makes a matching high, comes back down. Here I draw a trading range because I'm thinking this might be range bound. Potential fail breakout. You only really have a first entry long. I'm looking for a second entry long, ideally above the EMA, to push to the other side. Here's a possibility of a second entry long, but it never breaks above this guy. So there was no trigger. And after I see the close here, I'm abandoning thoughts of going long now, and I'm just kind of watching and waiting. So technically, you have a new high here, first entry long, pull back, second entry long, it's inside bar, so I don't like this. I'm not thinking of going long yet. And then it's having trouble breaking above the EMA. I want to see a higher low above. Doesn't happen. Starts pressing down on this green down channel. Then it creates a new low here. First entry short, pull back. Second entry short. Second entry short has failed right here, but I don't like this candle. So this is a potentially good looking setup. I want to see what this follow through is. The follow through had a lot of struggles right here. This is only a 1.4 tick candle, and it had trouble. It did break above, so it's a failure, but I don't like that it closes the doji. In this case, it would have worked, but I called it an almost trade. Then it kind of pushes back down. Looks like it was moving down this red down channel, break, test the low, and it kept going. So then I established this yellow down channel. Fortunately, there was no real setup here. You have a first entry short. It would have been great if this actually had like a break below, so it'd actually be considered a second entry short here, but unfortunately it didn't happen. So it's only a first entry short, and it pushes down. Break of this yellow down channel is tested low. Looks like it's reversing. Unfortunately, I don't get a second entry short here because I like this candle here. Touch and go. In other words, it touched the EMA and it flushed back down. Unfortunately, it's really only a first entry short. And then you really don't get a second entry short and it pushes above the EMA. Now you technically have a second entry short here, but this isn't really any kind of setup. Bad signal bar. These aren't just looking that good. It's inside this big green one. Kind of chops sideways. Creates a new high. It's a first entry long pullback. I'm thinking there's a potential second entry long here. It creates a second entry long. It's an almost setup. I don't like the follow through. There was barely enough room from here to here for just maybe a 1-point scalp, but you're running into the potential resistance, which kind of looked like it did. The follow through convinced me, okay, don't go long, but also don't go short yet. Which is up and out. Kind of hits the localized high. Keep in mind, this is where the pre-market range was, It doesn't seem to be in play anymore. It was important back here, but not so much here now. Pushes up on this really big green up channel, break, test the high. The first entry long. Technically have a second entry long here, but when you see this signal bar, I'm not thinking of going long at the time because this isn't very convincing to go long. Plus, it's far from the EMA. It needed to have closed green and at least touch, bounce, and push up, but it didn't do that. So I'm just kind of waiting. Pushes down. Okay, so this is actually where my brain faltered and my discipline broke down. So I'm watching all this. I'm thinking, okay, what's going to happen next? So this is kind of like a hunch trade and not a real good reason to take a trade. It's a first entry long pullback. Technically, have a second entry long pullback. It broke below the EMA, so I'm waiting. Then it closed above. So it's actually a first entry, second entry, third entry. There's no real good reason to take a third entry long. And it looks like it was a spike and then a channel down. It looks like it's all within this leg. But at the time I saw, okay, it's holding. The EMA is holding. Break of this green up channel. It already tested the high. So there's no really good reason to go long. And it's best to just wait. But I saw this and I got caught up in my own brain that there's a setup here. I entered one tick, well, pretty much at the same highs right here, hoping for a 2-point scalp, which isn't justified right now because there's no setup here. It creates this inside bar to this, and that probably should have been an indication to me, like thinking back, hey, there's no setup here. Might as well take a quick loss, but I didn't. Flushes down, and my stop's one tick below here. So eventually, it pushes down, takes me out, and it wipes out all the profits from this trade. So this is definitely a stupid thing to do because I think I lost about 9 ticks, and I got 8 ticks here. So I'm actually a little bit in the red today. So this is a no reason trade. ATR was also pretty low. Prices aren't really providing any clear indication of strength. So this is pretty much a I lost discipline, got bored, convinced myself there was a setup, took it and got punished, which is terrible, but in a way good because it kind of reinforces the fact that I need to be more patient. And every time I do something stupid like this, I do remember it and I put notes in my journal that, I do fall victim to becoming, I don't know, lazy and then discipline breaks down for sure. And then I invent a setup. What is a third entry long? Nothing. There's no good reason to take this trade. Anyways, pushes down, breaks, tests the low of the orange down channel, pushes up. You have a first entry short. Technically, you have a second entry short here. But when you first see this, you're not thinking of going short yet. Break of the green up channel, test the high. Maybe it's coming back down, but the signal bar isn't very good. All through trigger bar is not bad, but I want to see a lower high now. Ideally, if this had ticked one tick above and closed at the low, maybe there would have been a setup here, but it didn't. It's technically inside to this guy. Chop sideways. I do see a new high, first entry long pullback. It's a decent second entry long, except it's below the EMA. There's not a good reason to take this trade right now. It could still be in this orange down channel, and it's giving me flashbacks of this setup here. Pushes up. Here, it would have worked, but of course you don't know that at the time. So actually, when I see a first entry long, second entry long, I'm looking for a higher low. Ideally want to see the next candle here tick below this guy, then push up and close strong. It doesn't do that, so there's no lower high here, or higher low, excuse me. Starts proceeding to move down, and it flushes down, so there's no setup here. Hits a new low. First entry short. Technically, you have a second entry short here. This would have been a better setup if this signal bar had closed at the low, but it leaves me a little ambiguous. So it's a first entry short, second entry short. Follow through is good, so it's confirmed second entry short. Actually, I'm looking for a lower high to confirm the second entry short. One tick above here. Next candle, I hope, is moves one tick above here and closes very bearish. And I think there might have been a setup. Fortunately, pushes up and creates a bullish bar. So now you're thinking first entry short, second entry short. Second entry short technically has failed, but it's right here dealing with the EMA. So now I'm looking for a higher low confirming the failure. Pushes up. Okay, so hopefully there's a higher low here. No. I mean, technically this is a higher low, but I don't like the bias. I don't like this moving down here. Then it reverses and closes strongly up. So unfortunately, I wasn't quick enough. I didn't quite see it. I drew this green up channel. Looks like it's obeying it pretty well. Two dojis in a row gives me extra caution. It's like a first entry long, pull back. Could this be a second entry long? But I also saw it as a visual first entry. It never broke above this guy, so there's no setup, no trade. And it continues pushing back down. It hits this support, and I turn it into a range, but I don't trust the range quite yet. Plus, it's already getting really close to the end of the day. So any kind of setup that shows up, I'm definitely not going to take. Pushes up, it's a technically new low, first entry short, second entry short. Maybe there's a setup here, but I don't like that it's above the EMA. The follow through wasn't very convincing, and it pushes back down. Technically, you have a new high, triple test, first entry long. Technically, have a second entry long here, but I mean, you could say it's riding the bottom of the range and maybe it's moving back to the high side. But you look at the timestamp, it's very late in the day. I don't want to potentially mess with this. Plus, during the last 10 minutes of the day, sometimes things can get super volatile and doesn't quite react the way that you think it should per price action rules. And it chops and moves into the close. So it's been a kind of a slow day. Definitely, this is a trade that should never have occurred, but unfortunately, I took it. Lack of discipline, breakdown of the rules. This is a better trade. So, in a perfect world, I would have just walked away one trade, one winner. And unfortunately, it didn't happen today. So, it's a good lesson. I certainly will remember this. And every time, it's kind of like getting a speeding ticket. You're very, I guess, you're very more careful about your driving after you get a speeding ticket of some kind. So, you're more following the rules again. But after a while, you know, as with a lot of things, you probably end up speeding or going a little bit faster than you should, and then you get caught again. So this is my time. This is my turn of getting caught. No good reason to take this trade. Took it anyways. Unfortunately, I lost. So hopefully that was helpful.